Good morning! It is a glorious day today. You always hear about the day after a typhoon or the effects of a typhoon being a really beautiful day, and today is exactly that. Blue skies, the odd bit of cloud, and something really amazing has popped out to say hello. Well, I'm not so sure if it popped out or if I just finally clued in and saw it hiding between these buildings. But the typhoon definitely did clear the haze from the sky, and for the first time on this trip we were able to enjoy the surprising view of Mount Fuji. Yeah, I was really surprised to come up here and see Mount Fuji off in the distance from our rooftop terrace. And that's when the wind picked up and destroyed the audio of me explaining how excited we were to be able to see such an iconic image of Japan from our balcony. But never mind, the show must go on. I was also explaining that the plan for the day is to head down to Shibuya for a day of shopping at some of our favorite stores, which are great places to find souvenirs to take back home with you. So let's get going and head to the smaller of our two local train stations, Meijiro Station, and make our way into the heart of Shibuya.
Do you know what to do on a sunny Saturday?
No, what?
Laundry, of course. We've already gone through 2 loads.
Yeah, it's great because you can dry stuff outside. The sun is magical.
Everybody has the same idea as us.
Bit of a hike to walk down to Shibuya, so we're taking the train. We're going to take the Yamanote line, and we could walk over to Ikebukuro Station, but we've decided to go to the smaller station, which is a short walk through a quiet residential area that we really love exploring, and also because it goes over the train tracks. So there's that bridge that goes over the tracks and you can watch the trains coming and going. It's pretty crazy there at that spot because there's tracks underneath the bridge, which are the JR lines, and then the private rail lines that come out of Ikebukuro Station are raised up and kind of go beside the bridge. So it's a pretty cool spot if you like watching trains. We forgot that Nicole's Suica card is run out of money, so we have to go load it up. I have a pocket full of change, so I'm hoping I can get rid of all of that and load up this Suica card.
Success! And also, Mike is 5 pounds lighter.
We made it to Shibuya Station, which is a maze and it's easy to get lost, but keep an eye out for the Hachiko exit and make your way there. This is where you'll find the famous Shibuya Scramble Crossing. Before we take you around to our favorite stores for souvenirs, we have to find some lunch. There is a building close by we want to show you. Let's head over there and see what restaurants they have on offer.
As soon as we got into the building, Mike and I saw what we wanted and we made a mad dash for it. And it is tongue. The problem with having tongue is that it is so good and the portions are so small that when you come and have a bite, you only take a small bite and you have to take a lot of rice. And that's the only way I can think of to stretch out the meal, because if I don't do that, my tongue would be gone in 20 seconds and I would have to order another plate and another plate and another plate, and that would be very, very bad for the visa.
And as Nicole mentioned, we beelined for the restaurant when we saw it on the board downstairs at the elevator. This place is a chain, this is Rikyu, and we've had them a couple times and every time they've been really good. Different locations have been very consistent. One of the other things we really love about a set meal of beef tongue is the soup that it comes with. It's like a really clear broth made from the tail, oxtail. And it's a really nice, clean flavor. It just really refreshes your mouth. It's a really nice complement with the beef because the beef is really tasty and rich, and then the broth is kind of a little bit subdued and really clean.
they balance each other perfectly. Ever since we visited Sendai, we've been big fans of beef tongue. That's their regional dish. They're famous for beef tongue. And I remember the first time we went out for beef tongue, I was very apprehensive, to say the least. I'll link that video up here. But ever since then, we've been eating it as much as we possibly can because it is so good. And I don't think we get it quite the same at home. So we take advantage of being here to get as much tongue in our mouths as possible. And I remember one of the things I was worried about the first time we had it was that it was going to be really tough and really kind of a weird sort of consistency. That can't be farther from the truth. The tongue is a really flavorful cut of meat. If it's cooked properly and it's prepared properly, and by prepared I mean all the scoring that they do to help tenderize it a little bit, it's a really, really good cut to eat and pretty reasonable from looking at the grocery stores. And you can see just how easy it is to eat with just chopsticks and just an easy bite through. It's not tough at all. It's got a little bit of chew, but a really good beefy flavor. And it's always super satisfying. It always hits the spot and kind of hits that umami kind of need in us when we want something like that. So if you have the opportunity, I definitely highly recommend trying beef tongue when you're in Japan, because this is fantastic.
When you come for a beefy set like this, you get to choose the size of your beef, which is like a set price, and then you get to choose the size of the rice. And no matter what size of the rice you pick, it's the same price. I can't imagine for the life of me why anyone would pick this small rice. The large rice is the way to go because the portions of meat is so small that if you don't want to walk away hungry, you gotta get the large size.
That's a good pro tip. A lot of restaurants do that, and a lot of restaurants also give free refills on the rice. Like tonkatsu restaurants generally do that. I'm not sure if here does that, but that big bowl was enough for me. But yeah, I would not have been satisfied with just a small bowl of rice.
No, I really had to chew and savor each bite because it was so good. I'm so glad we came.
Yeah, it always hits the spot. So there's one thing we want to try and see in this building. We're gonna go check that out now. Ready? Let's go. We brought you up to the 11th floor, which is what they call the Sky Lobby. And it's this really nice open space with a couple restaurants, a really fancy Lawson's, or at least the sign is very fancy, and an amazing view down over the Scramble. So from up here you can get a good view of Shibuya Crossing, the Shibuya train station, specifically the JR lines, the Yamanote line, and kind of watch the people going back and forth over the Scramble, looking kind of like ants from up here. So let's go check out the view. That was Shibuya Hikari, a building very close to Shibuya Station, less than a 5-minute walk, where you can get some great food on the 6th and 7th and 8th floors. You can do some shopping, and you can also go up to their Sky Lobby to get that amazing view down over this Scramble.
I could spend hours in there. They had 2 floors above, like I think 7 and 6, and it was actually an exhibition floor. So they would bring in different vendors from all over Japan to sell local wares.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then the main floors, like maybe like from the 1st to the 4th floor, they have a really nice department store, and I spent a while in there while you were doing the videoing.
Yeah, it looked like they had some really neat stuff in the department store. So if you want to come and get that amazing view, you can come to this building, Shibuya Hikari. But we're actually walking over a bridge to another building, which will soon have probably a better vantage point of the crossing. We are going to check that out in a future video. It doesn't open for another week, so we'll be
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. We'll be able to go and check it out very soon after it opens. But it looks like part of this building is open because we're walking into the bottom floors now.
This new building is called Shibuya Scramble Square, and it looks like it will be a beautiful building once it fully opens. But for now, let's head back out to the streets of Shibuya, and we'll make our way to the first store we want to show you. PSA, keep an eye out for these go-kart tours. You'll no doubt come across them throughout Shibuya when you visit. As we walk around, you'll notice there is a wealth of shopping options in Shibuya, but we're going to stay focused. We're almost to our first stop. As I said, watch out!
Many of the stores that we like to visit have flagship stores here in Shibuya. We're gonna go visit Loft, Tokyu Hands, and Donk, which has a mega store here. But first is Loft. And Loft has lots of really fun stuff, housewares, beauty supplies, stationery. Like their stationery is usually over the top. And it's a good place to come to get souvenirs to take home with you. So let's go in and see what they have at this sort of flagship Loft in Shibuya.
You have failed me for the last time.
Sorry about that, Vader. This is not usually here. This is a special Star Wars shop celebrating the release of Episode 9. Here we find Nicole in Loft's massive beauty section, which includes all sorts of products, including these masks that will lift your face and these magical disco balls. Who falls for this stuff? Oh.
What did you just do?
I got massaged by a solar paneled microcurrent gadget. I clearly do not understand how the science behind it works, but I know that those two disco balls are a big thing in Japan, so I wanted to check it out for myself.
And they're supposed to make your skin lighter?
I think it's supposed to make it healthier.
Stretch out your sort of like wrinkles on the knuckles?
Is that what it's supposed to do?
I think that's what was happening.
Oh my!
Third floor is my kind of floor. All kinds of kitchen gadgets, coffee making apparatus, all kinds of really cool bento boxes. I love looking at bento boxes, different ones with like different compartments and different levels, really cool stuff. A lot of like sake glasses and chopsticks and chopstick holders, all kinds of really neat stuff here on the third floor, which is their kitchenwares floor.
You're bound to find some interesting souvenirs to bring back for yourself or that aspiring chef in your life. In addition to what I already showed you, maybe you'll find a unique thermos in this amazing selection of thermos products, or maybe a unique cooking pot, or perhaps you'll find an English cookbook in their cookbook section. Another great floor is the Fields and Streets floor, where you'll find all sorts of neat travel accessories and some really uniquely themed products. These would make a great souvenir for that traveler in your life. And if all this shopping blew up your suitcase, you can always pick up an extra one here. The top floor is probably your best bet to find some really cool Japanese themed products for gifts. From Marvel themed products to Lego Pokemon to more traditional Japanese souvenirs, you can find some really fun gifts up here on the top floor of Loft. We could not come to Loft without a stop into the stationery department. If you love stationery products or need a gift for someone who does, you're bound to find it here.
We were in there for hours. The Loft at the Ikebukuro is only 3 floors. This one is 8 floors?
7 floors, including the basement.
Wow.
And the top floor was really cool on this one because there's all kinds of interesting kind of Japanese themed goods, like total souvenirs that you would want to take home for people.
It was a combination exhibition hall slash pop-up store.
Yeah, it was really neat. So come check out the Loft in Shibuya. Tokyu Hands also has a flagship store in Shibuya, and that's where we are right now. And it has very similar stuff to Loft. They have, cosmetics, stationery, travel goods, home stuff, all that similar kind of stuff. But this location has a much different feel to Loft. Loft was very modern feeling. This Tokyu Hands feels very old school, and it also feels like they've taken 3 buildings and kind of mashed them together to make one building. And the way you kind of feel that is because all the floors are uneven. So we're on one of the outside buildings at 5C, and if let me just show you. If you look around, there's 6A and 5A. You can see all the instructions on how to navigate around the store. So most of the stationery stuff is on level 5, but you have to go up and down stairs to get to the different sections because of the way they've kind of like mashed these buildings together. But there's a lot of really good stuff in here. You can find a lot of interesting things to make as souvenirs.
More fun stationery ideas. If you haven't guessed, Japan is big on stationery products. You'll find fun erasers shaped like unagi-don or onigiri, or how about a daruma doll? Check out the crazy assortment of pencil cases, definitely a unique gift in one of these. Or even some fun cards to go along with your gifts.
We are going to finish up in here and move on to our next location. That was a fun store to explore.
It was crazy. It was like a maze.
They have a very, very wide selection of stuff to go and look at.
I think they had a lot more stuff than Loft.
Yeah, this definitely felt like a bit bigger than Loft.
Yeah.
And crammed with more things.
I think Loft is more curated, and here they just had everything. But usually both stores are pretty well curated. I think this one just kind of like hasn't been updated.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it needs an update inside. As I showed you earlier, it's a bit of a maze trying to navigate all those disjointed floors.
I kind of like that though.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this store's days are numbered. So I think that if you are in Tokyo, you should check it out before it gets the makeover.
Yeah, and it's a very short walk from Loft and the next place that we're going. So it's all really close and you can hit them all in one afternoon.
Guys, we're starting to fade. We need to find dinner, but we had to show you the last store on our list. If you've been following us, you'll know we love Donk. I will link an older video for you up above. Well, here in Shibuya, you'll find Mega Donk, a massive location which would easily take a whole day to explore. We've described Donk as sort of a Walmart because of the very wide range of products that they have. You'll definitely find some great souvenirs here at Mega Donk in Shibuya. We have to give an honorable mention to Daiso, the 100 yen shop. Lots of options in here as well, and being a 100 yen shop, very reasonable prices for souvenirs.
Our desire for meat has continued at dinner time. We've decided to come into a Japanese style barbecue place, and there's something odd.
Sometimes it's a big mystery. The restaurant we're in has a good rating. The prices are really reasonable. It's in a very, very good location, very busy, and the food is delicious. But we're the only ones here. I feel it's such a puzzle. I feel like I want to ask questions, but there's no one to ask.
We decided to order a set, had 3 different types of meat, and then some pork on the side. The pork is really good. You get the fat on it nice and crispy, and I like to dip it in a bit of salt and eat it with the juicy fat dripping off of it. Oh, it's so good. And the beef, there's like a couple of fatty cuts of beef and then a pretty lean cut of beef. They're all very, very good. What's your favorite beef, Nicole?
Out of the 4 different types of meat we got, not surprisingly, my favorite is the Wagyu beef. It's just so incredibly flavorful, and the beefiness is just so strong that it does stand head and shoulders above the other pieces.
Yeah, the Wagyu is so good. It's really nicely marbled, and when you slap it on the grill, you hear that sizzle immediately, and the fat starts rendering out, and it gets really juicy, and it glistens, and it's juicy in the mouth. Like all that fat that you sort of heat up, it starts to come out when you start chewing on it. So, so good.
Shockingly, my second favorite piece of meat is the pork. The pork is, we ordered the pork jowl, and it's a very, very tender piece of meat, and it's also extremely flavorful, especially if you cook it and you just add a little bit of salt to it, and that's all it needs.
The salt on the meat, it just accentuates the flavor so, so well. But this other sauce here is also really good. Kind of slightly spicy, kind of reminiscent of like a kimchi flavor. That's also really good. Both of those are fighting for my attention. I can't decide which one I like better, salt or the sauce.
The solution is more meat.
Yeah, true. More meat, more vessels for the sauce, and more vessels for the salt. Mmm. And to go along with our barbecue, I ordered a drink, and I've been a bit obsessed with umeshu, which is plum wine. I had it at home the other day, and I think I've talked about how in a kaiseki meal, sometimes they give you a little shot of something to start the meal with, and a lot of times it's umeshu, and I just really like it. It's got a bit of sweetness and a kind of tang, and they do a umeshu sour here in Japan, so that's what I've ordered. It's umeshu, and then I'm not sure, they top it up with like tonic water or something like that, and ice. So it gives that umeshu a little bit of carbonation. It takes away some of the flavor, like some of the strength of the umeshu, which I don't need it to do that. I really like umeshu. Yeah, this place has been really good. Nothing like some grilled meats and some rice and some alcohol. It's a really good combination. Shibuya on a Saturday before Halloween is insane.
It is really popping, and that is an understatement, a huge understatement.
Yeah, so we managed to make it to Donk, the mega store that we wanted to go check out, and it is mega. They have a lot of stuff in there to check out, eh?
They do. You know what I'm like amazed at?
What?
That they have like police on scaffolding telling people to keep moving, no sitting, no standing.
Also, please do not sit on the street or lean on buildings.
It's something that I've never witnessed before in Japan.
And earlier I thought it was because they were starting to prep for the Olympics, but I think now it's probably just because of Halloween.
Yeah, they were intense, man. They did not want loitering of any sort.
And I can see why. It's just like a mad crowd out there. We are in the station now. We're gonna jump on the Yamanote line and head back to Ikebukuro Station, which is gonna feel super quiet in comparison to this place, in comparison to Shibuya. And then I think we're gonna make a pit stop at McDonald's, and that will be our amazing day exploring some of the big stores here in Shibuya. There's so much more to see. We barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, the day went by so fast.
It did. So we will see you back at Ikebukuro. Feels so good to be almost home.
I love being back in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Shibuya is very fun, but just coming back here after the excitement is just like a calm.
Yeah, and I mean walking down the street here still was a lot of people, but nowhere near what we were experiencing in Shibuya.
Because it was crazy tonight. It's the weekend before Halloween.
Yeah, everybody seemed to be out there. The cops were out in full force. There were like cop buses all over the place, lots of police keeping the crowds in line. A lot of costumes.
A lot of skimpy costumes. I bet a lot of people are gonna get colds tomorrow.
Yeah, so I didn't get any specific shots of the costumes, but I got some general shots of the crowds, and you'll be able to have some fun picking out the people in costumes. There's quite a few.
Yeah.
So we are going to head upstairs. We hope you enjoyed coming along with us to Shibuya and exploring some of the shops that we like to go see, and just generally seeing all the the craziness which is Shibuya. So we will catch up with you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching this week's episode. We hope we gave you some great ideas for some unique souvenirs for yourselves or people back home. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up down below. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you never miss a future episode. We'll see you next week.